you were going to like say a funny thing that could start the music, but I'll just start the music like right now, and
No,
then
let me
you can
say
do
a
the
funny
intro.
thing. Um, hey guys, guess what? On this another 150th episode of Economy of Nothing podcast is Mike Allen's birthday, aka Mr. Green, aka the original, aka birthday.
This is
bitches.
Mike.
Yeah, business Mike. Sorry, I forgot business Mike. I got too many AKs. Anyways, wanted to have a conversation.
You'll
about
kill it in
birthday.
the real intro, right?
Yeah, this is the real intro, and today's topic of discussion is birthdays. It's a good icebreaker, okay? So let me just put it out there. I think birthdays, in my,
Like, this is not the real intro.
it is the real intro.
No, it is
I
not
think
the real intro.
It is the real intro. I think birthdays pretty great. I think it's a good time to celebrate with your family and friends, and every day is a day that's normally not about you, and here's your day. I don't think it should go on longer than a day. I don't think that I'm some college girl that should have it for a week, but I do think for a day, everybody should kiss the nuts. Anyways, Mike Bernal says birthdays don't matter. Mike, would you like to speak about birthdays on how you think they're mundane and totally pointless because you're lacking an inner child or something?
I think they're a waste of time, right? Like, imagine if you wanted to like do an intro to a podcast, and that's like what everyone else was interested in, but one person wanted to make it all about them because of a thing that every single other person had also done and that they had nothing to do with. Like, send your mom a card. You know what I mean?
I mean, That's
No,
good.
I'm sorry. First of all, both of you are wrong. It's my birthday week because it's also my birthday on Saturday, and everyone in my family has been saying happy birthday week, Ryan. And I say thank you so much. And also, Friday is my birthday eve. My family always celebrates birthday eves. We just do the whole thing. And the reason why celebrating birthdays is important is because my sister's ex-boyfriend talked about why he would wash his hands when he went to the bathroom. And I don't know how this conversation came up, but basically he was just like, well, I mean, when else are you going to do it, really? It's just a perfect time to do it. So I think that's what birthdays are. They're just like washing your hands after you pee. It's like you're celebrating your life because when else are you going to celebrate your life? You might as well just do it on that day. It's a perfect chance.
Okay, you just took
Celebrate
birthdays and
life
compared it against
every
washing
day,
hands.
Ryan.
Something you
Celebrate
do every
life
day.
every day. Dance in a meadow. You know what I mean?
Hold on. I think we have a bigger. You just compared a one day out of the year to washing your something I hope you do every time you go to the bathroom, not just on your birthday.
I only wash my hands once on Easter.
Well, ever since I stopped going to church, where am I? How like regular water doesn't do it, right? You have to add the holy stuff to clean.
Well, yeah, I guess it was a few weeks after. Whenever the day I was baptized is the one day I'll allow myself to wash.
The last time you were clean, like that's what they're saying in church every Sunday, right? That was the last time you were clean is when you were dipped in that holy water.
But also, for the record, an interesting note for our viewers is that Mike Bidon
Listeners,
has one of the worst listeners, has like one of the worst objective birthday days of the year. So that's why he's a hater. Like that
What
is
is
also
that
a
date?
factor.
it's not why I'm a hater.
What is that date, Ryan?
I don't. January.
Like, what do
2nd.
you? What are you
It's
gonna
January
do?
2nd.
I'm gonna get
So it's
DDoSed.
after. Yeah, you're getting DDoS right now.
I've had
No, it's after the new year. No one wants to have another party. People are gone. They're traveling. Blah blah blah. Mike has explained it many a time.
yes, and I feel like I always get a lot of fun for my birthday because April 15th is tax day, and then April 16th is the day after taxes are due, and I think everybody's just in a better mood because they've gotten it done. Whether you owe or not, one could argue the fact that it's behind you means your life gets substantially better because you don't have to look forward to it.
Absolutely.
See,
And then
here's
they
the
see,
thing.
oh, it's Mike
January
Allen's birthday.
2nd is the realest day
Let's
of
go
all
party.
time, and April 16th is the fakest day of all time, right? Because everyone just paid their taxes, and no one's going to feel the ramifications of whatever happened for a super long time, right? But January 2nd is the day everyone has felt the ramifications of every
Yeah,
mistake they
Mm.
made for an entire year.
And the reality is that Mike Bedell nobody has any money to celebrate Mike Vidal's birthday. It's like on my
Yeah.
birthday, they're getting, like, at the very least, they might be getting some money back to the go party, but there's no money spent.
You just bought everyone
During
you
the
know
year.
all of
Yeah.
the presents,
Yeah, now
and
everybody's
then
money's
blew the
going
rest on
into-
champagne.
Well, I do
But-
think that you perfectly segue into the themes of the show, though, because what is
show?
a better?
I don't know what's going on. Like the official intro happened, and I was introduced to nothing.
What is a better representation of the slight bit of joy that a person can have from our economy than the day after doing taxes being you're ready to party?
Yeah, it's like I don't
And
gotta
I
worry about
agree.
anything for at least 364 days.
Until you get to wash your hands again.
Yes. Only on tax day.
Oh
you-
yeah, so is that where that started? Yeah, did we get to a solution on that? Because I feel like people don't wash their hands, but everyone goes through it, and I'm like, I can tell that you're not washing your hands. Why are you wetting them for no reason? Either just don't do what I do. I judge what I've touched on my way in and my way out, and I decide whether or not my hands will be better or worse off after having touched the soap, washed them, and stuff. Right? Like,
Mike,
Yeah.
this
I-
is exactly how this conversation came up with my sister's ex. I don't know how to make it more clear. This is a perfect. The point is, when else are you going to do it? You're never you're not just going to be, I don't know, playing a game and being like, I'm going to go leave and wash my hands right now. You just do it in the bathroom periodically because that is the time to celebrate your birthday.
Hold on. Can we,
once a
like,
year.
But like back to back to dunking on your sister's exes or whatever we're doing. But but like that
Dunking.
doesn't make any sense. Well, this is the only time this guy goes into the bathroom is to like. Does he think like? I don't don't understand this logic necessarily. Like,
I have a
what if your
pretty good
hands are
rule of
sticky at a
thumb,
restaurant?
I-
You just go into the bathroom and wash your
I think-
hands.
I think this is the rule of thumb, and I'm going to relate it back to the characters. Okay. I think this is the general hand washing rule of thumb. Number one, if you're around someone in the bathroom with you, regardless of what you do, you should wash your hands. But I think we all know if you're in a hurry,
That's
and no one's in the
ridiculous.
bathroom,
That cannot be one of your criteria. Captain speaking. That cannot be one of your criteria because that's a bullshit criteria. If someone else is there, is nothing.
yeah, but the whole thing's the economy. Like, you don't want to be judged for your nasty hygiene habits, but we all know that if no one's in the bathroom and you're in a hurry and you're taking a piss, there's a 50-50 chance you're washing your hands. But I think we can all agree, if you're taking a poop, you should definitely wash your hands, no matter what, because just poop's gross, pee's sterile.
Don't
you can
poop
drink
in
it.
public. Plan your life better. Have a
I
more
personally-
strict diet. Poop
I
at
personally
home.
think like there's if pee is sterile, like even if you pee on your hands, right, it's probably fine. You don't have to wash them. It's just more of a courtesy.
Yeah, my sister's ex has a lot to say to both of you. And Mike, the reason why you're doing it when other people are there is because, of course, what other people think of you matters. That's called being in society. And also, it's like, why are you wearing clothes when you're in the bathroom with someone else? It's like, well, because
Like,
someone else is in there.
Why don't you
Hello?
take your pants all the way down to pee at the stall? You know, we could
Exactly.
totally do that if we wanted to, but
You
we
could
don't.
expose your ass. Some people
Yeah.
might like that even. Sickos,
Okay, but
sick
this is like
freaks.
here's the question about like the bathroom is a blanket term for a place that has a toilet and a sink. It's not like the bathroom isn't like 99% for a toilet and like 2% for a sink, right? One bath, like one half bath. It's I guess it's technically each one is 25% of a bathroom, right? Because a full bath is a shower, a toilet, and a sink. And a
Yeah, I
half
think we
bath
sh-
is a toilet sink. So a toilet's only 25% of a bathroom. So you can't be like the only time you would go in there is to use the bathroom. So some of the reasons you're going in there is to just wash your hands.
Okay, so in general, I think what you're talking about is the terminology needs to change. We call it a bathroom or a restroom. And the only reason you would call it a restroom is if it's a woman's bathroom because sometimes they have couches in it. I've never been in a man's bathroom that had a couch, so you're not really resting in there. And you can't really call it a bathroom because there's no bath or shower. So really, we should just call it a toilet. I don't know. The new, anything other than bathroom and restroom. Maybe we should update that. Maybe in the economy of nothing, toilets are just called like space holes or something.
That's what they do in Europe. They call them toilets a lot of places. So
Oh, I feel like what they would do,
you just
like,
want us to be more European.
no,
Yeah.
what they would do is no, they'd go the other way, right? It would be like, oh no, these bathrooms have like all this like nice furniture or whatever in them, right? But it's like, but we got rid of the porcelain, so now everyone's back to like pooping in a hole. But like, look how nice the rest of it is.
Where do
Well,
people go to the bathroom on the captain's ship, aka truck? That is
So
a
we
small
talk.
vehicle.
So if Mike Allen doesn't want to do an actual intro where he says "Welcome to the economy of nothing" or anything, I thought that
I did
you
it
want- you-
earlier.
He already
Said,
did
"Welcome
it.
to the economy of nothing, where we're going to talk about birthdays."
you
It's as
got some-
reasonable as any other topic.
You motherfuckers. Yeah, I don't know.
That's the introduction to this.
Wait, what do we call our fans? Maybe that's what we should.
We call them the econs. No.
I don't
Exactly.
I don't want any fans.
What about the
I don't worry,
we don't have
proletariat?
Okay, I know. That's what I'm really. It's what I'm working on really hard. If you guys can't tell, I don't. No, I hate. I don't like the term fan just because like
You know
the
what
root-
I just
the
learned?
root
This
of
is an actual
fanatical
fun
is what I
fact.
don't
This
like.
this
What's
is an
that?
actual fun fact because my sister taught it to me
What-
about
excuse
golf.
me. We'll decide whether it's a fun fact.
About golf. You know what the Masters, the the Masters, I think that just happened, right? There's all these words that they don't let you say. Like they don't let you say back nine, and they don't let the like broadcasters call the people there fans. They have to call them spectators or viewers or audience or whatever. And I'm not sure why about the fan reason. Maybe because like fan is fanatic. But they don't let you say back nine because it kind of has like a sexual innuendo connotation. So there's this like policing of language at the Masters.
Yeah,
I
it's
think-
all
Golf
bullshit
championship.
reasons. 100%.
It's all bullshit reason, but I think the reason you don't call them fans is because fans tends to create a group mentality that make people like crazier. And in golf, you need people to be quiet, and you can technically be a fan of like 5 different golfers at the same time, right? But like you don't want to create groups that are like constantly being rambunctious and ruining the game, so you just make everybody individual.
There's one-
Yeah.
I think that people who go to these golf events must just be like fans of golf, right?
I think they're fans of like wasting their own time because they could just do this at home while doing anything else. Because golf is, although it is one of the hardest sports to play, it is very boring to watch. I don't care what anyone says. It is a very boring sport to watch. I'd literally rather watch any other sport. I'd rather watch baseball, and baseball is boring.
Oh my God, we have never agreed on anything more. I swear, every time I turn on golf, when you look at it on TV, it's just like they show the guy swinging it, and then they cut to a PNG of a ball against the sky, and then they just show the hole where it's landing.
Yeah,
It's like
and
the
it's
most
like it's all
boring
cut,
formula.
man. You're not actually watching like they only show the good stuff that happened. Like if you watched golf, you would assume everybody 90% of the time is phenomenal at golf and 10% of the time bad. When the reality is so far. And also in any other sport, violence is what gets people going, right? Or the chance of like an accident. Like people watch NASCAR mostly for the wrecks. People like baseball
True.
when a guy gets hit or a pitcher charges him out. Or when like a soccer player gets hit in the nuts or just like his knee gets taken out. Or when, super foul happens on the basketball court. I mean, all
Or
other sports have
hockey.
physical contact in some way. And golf is just like, and it's near the hole again, in the sand trap or in the water, or like, that's like the best you get. I feel like there's not enough incentive for me to watch. Now, if like Happy Gilmore was on there cranking balls, like that's exciting.
I mean,
It-
golf is so fucking boring. That's a
Okay,
fact.
as long as we're on the same
Welcome
page.
to the
That's all.
show.
Welcome to the show.
So-
You like golf? Go fuck yourself.
But in a show sense, right? Of that, like all sports now are like TV shows or whatever, right? The thing that stood out to me was when you're like, to me, there's like, sounds like to you, for a sport to be worthwhile, it has to have like contact or something, right? Is that
Or the ability of like an accident that could, at the worst case, be detrimental. Like the stakes need to be higher. Like the stakes can't be oh, he doesn't win his money.
Yeah, but so the thing I kind of want to dig into, because I have two big sportsmen here. And so what I wanted to dig into here is like, so what makes a watchable sport? And if we want to wrap it into the show economy of nothing, at some point we have to decide what Moneyball is. So
I have actual show topics to discuss, and one of the things I was going to pitch
Okay.
is that we should talk about the captain and his like backstory and blah 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 blah. I think that would be
Amazing.
like a good episode idea. If we want
But
to do
we
that
can't
today,
even like
great.
intro
If not,
this podcast at
then
any
let's
point
not.
with like, hey, check out the
All right, no,
YouTube version of this.
All right, just stop. Okay. All right. I'm going to say it. You plug it. And then we're going to talk about the captain. All right.
Okay.
Ready?
I just want to play the theme song at some point.
Okay,
if
all right.
That's cool.
Hey, everyone, and welcome back to the Economy of Nothing podcast, where we talk about the greatest show in all of the distant galaxies, here and far away.
We got one episode over there. We got another episode over here. There's 4 episodes over there. There's 2 episodes over there. Something like that. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
All right.
you can-
Hey, everyone. Thanks for that intro there, Mike. It's super good to be here with you guys. I don't know why. I guess let's not intro right here. What the fuck are we doing? Keep going. I don't know. Who cares?
Mike took a gas station edible. He's all over the place.
You know,
Today we're
I
going
thought
to
Mike
talk
was going to run this, and then, he comes in here with the whole birthday thing for 20 minutes. I'm all thrown off.
Well, that was the point. Anyways, today's episode is about the captain's backstory. Where does he come from? What does he do? Why is he such an asshole, but not an asshole at the same time? We're going to dive into all of that and more today, so stick around. All right, starting off, Mike Bedot. The character Captain Tracy is based on you and the parts of you that you think are the best. Now, Ryan and ours job is to critique it and optimize it. So I think a good way to start this off is to you give your version of how you see Captain Tracy and where he fits in this universe.
Completely
Okay,
agree, and why he's worthy of being a protagonist.
All right. What I would like to do is disagree with you, both of you, on where to start, and say that based on our conversation last week, having listened to it a bunch of times, and and just thinking like ahead, like I think what we should do right now is look at Cheyenne's new Codex page, because I went through and I looked at the stuff that Ryan had shared with me about like the 20 story questions and stuff. That ended up presenting itself as an idea of Ryan, I can't hear you if you're talking. And presented yourself as I lost track when I said that. But I think we should look at Cheyenne's page, because I think these need to be focused somewhere. Like, we cannot have a conversation. Explain to me why he's the protagonist of your show. Watch my show. You know what I mean? That's crazy talk.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways,
And you need a
Captain
formula. Like, you
Cheyenne.
can ask me these questions, right? But like,
No,
also
Mike,
we should compare it with
it's-
what you guys.
It's fine. We can definitely talk about Cheyenne. I just don't want Cheyenne to be like the main topic or whatever, because I mean it's like, kind of my character or whatever.
Let's let him do his little game. Let's just.
But no,
do it.
but Mike, I think what's interesting about it is like we're having fun. What I will say in defense of our idea of talking about the captain is that we are having fun, and we're all. I hate to let people behind the curtain. Make sure to cut this out. And we're talking about this like there's 1,000 episodes done. Like, oh, just watch my show if you want to know why the captain is the protagonist. But like, currently on Mike Allen's birthday, 2025, we actually don't have that done, so we don't know. You feel me? But like in your
Yes.
mind, I think it all like is perfectly like laid out in this kind of conceptual like vacuum
Ryan,
of
I
space.
have to stop you. It is
Yeah,
perfectly
okay.
laid out conceptually. It's
Okay.
Cheyenne's page. We talked about Cheyenne last week, and I produced this. I think we should now look at this, and then we'll know what kind of conversation to have, and whether we want to know this information, different information. Like, having these open-ended conversations isn't the best idea, I don't think. But if you guys want to, I don't want to
Completely.
be a
No, I
control
hear
freak.
you. I do like something to riff off of and look at and talk about, like the lyrics of the show,
Can I
Great.
just start out? I'm looking at the Codex, economyofnothing.com, went to the Codex page, looking at Captain Cheyenne, and her image has been updated to a more what I think a Meryl Streep looks like. She's definitely, because at first Mike had animated her as like a Daphne from Scooby Doo, and I think as we fleshed the character out last week, Captain Cheyenne would not be that way. Like you can't have a super sexy captain and be a girl boss. Like she has to have like the look of a girl boss. And I think if you look at her now, she looks like a Meryl Streep of a fucking warship or something. I think it hits harder. Like now I'm a little afraid of her, and I think the captain should be intimidated. And I just feel by looking at her face that she definitely thinks less of the captain, and the captain's like, why though? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think
I-
she thinks less of him because she sees him as just like having lucked into something.
Right. He's like, the captain is just does it his way and it always works out, and she gets pissed off.
Because he's
That's
like, you know,
why-
the savior of the universe, blah, blah, blah.
Right. And that's why I think Cheyenne and Green are close, because we both know that aspect to the captain is that he gets lucky a lot of the time and it just works out. And I think as the show goes on, we learn to just accept that. Most of the time, the captain's right, even though it doesn't feel like the right thing to do as seasons go on.
So to your guys' point, I think we can delve into the captain. I don't have a problem, but just like I can't start so open-ended as why is he the protagonist, but I could start as open-ended as like answering the questions we kind of have answered. We should go through and see how well we think this represents what we talked about Cheyenne last week, and then we'll go, okay, now I think I can answer this all for the captain if we like this. Does that make sense?
Would you like me to read her biography?
I mean, we do like it when Ryan reads it, but I don't know if he's on board with this plan. I want everyone to be on board with the
I
plan.
think everyone should read a
we're
different character.
we're trapped
yeah.
in this weird podcast space room together as cartoons. You know what I mean?
In my opinion, I think I or you should read this biography, because if Ryan gets a hold of it, he's gonna just butcher it. So let's get through it. And then, yeah,
I refuse to read out loud.
I will read it. Okay.
I can read
Biography.
it. When in the course of events of human history, fourscore. You can
Go.
go, I guess.
All right. So,
But you are
Captain
right.
Cheyenne-
Ryan shouldn't read his because then he'll want to like correct it. That's right. That's why. Yeah. That's part of
Yeah.
the reason I can't read them. Right.
Yeah. So Captain Cheyenne, her biography as a character reads: Cheyenne rose through the elite orphan pipeline of dispatch, quickly achieving gold tier status by combining the roles of both captain and pilot. She maximized her profit and built a personal fleet of unpaid interns to pilot her, don't know that word, Martyoska style ship, whatever that.
Matrushka? Matrushka?
Sounds
doll.
like that's a word I've read
It's the
before.
Russian nesting doll. It's
You should have
Matryoshka.
listened to the episode 900 times, Mike, and then you would have known. Then you would
It's
have known, Mike.
It's just Russian nesting dolls. Just Russian.
Okay,
nesting
Russian
dolls.
nesting doll ship. In my defense, is my birthday. It's called the Sunshine. Her tactical brilliance is matched only by her ability to outmaneuver the system itself. Rumors persist that she secretly funds an off-grid orphanage and may view the dispatch system as both a means to success and a moral contradiction. I think it's pretty spot on.
Ryan?
I have to agree. I simply
You
must
think
agree.
it's good? Okay.
Yeah, I
Um,
do. I like the if we want to keep the orphanage thing, I think that's like I find that to be a
Oh.
really compelling kind of like
We're
side
keeping it.
thing of why she's not just like an evil bitch.
Yeah, Ryan, you said the orphanage thing like 7 times last episode. If there's anything that's getting kept in this biography, it's the orphanage, okay?
I want to keep going, but this is something like a point to keep in mind is like, and we don't have to determine any of this, but like like we should have secret things in here right now. If anyone finds this thing right now or something, good. It's all spoiled for you. Sorry. I'm putting spoiler warnings in the podcast, and I'll put them on the website if I have to. But like, we'll take the orphanage stuff out, but it should be there for us to remember, right? Plus, this is all just season 1 stuff we're filling in after the fact. Anyway.
Yeah, and I don't think any of that spoils anything. I mean, just we know that an orphanage is a big part of her backstory, either due to how she rose through the ranks or how she eventually wants to like retire and just run an orphanage or something because she cares for the kids, because she came from one. But I think in general, like that doesn't spoil anything because there's so much you could write about, like why she really is, and that'll be fleshed out in later episodes and stuff.
Yeah, because I think that it really needs to be like I don't know what the climax of this show will be or like the conclusion, right? Because it's 1,000 episodes away.
Oh
But
yeah, we haven't seen it
yeah,
either, guys. Ooh, yeah,
we
haha, it's fun. Yeah.
no, but I think that there's a version of her, this character to me, which is just like a bad person, like she's a villain, or there's a version that's like kind of a hero, and I don't know where that will fall, but I think that kind of seeding the concept of something sympathetic like this could be useful in
Well,
her backstory as well, that kind
Yeah.
of draws out like why she doesn't just hate the captain or hate Mr. Green or whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, like how the
like
system, how she sees it herself. And I really like the idea also of the war. How long ago was the war? Like 5 years or something?
five. We're saying 5 years for now.
Well,
I
because I
think
like
we
the
should.
idea
I
that
think we should
everyone was
go. Yeah.
conscripted. I like the idea that everyone was conscripted into the war effort. So then the Nothing
And she
Corporation, like,
enlisted.
well, yeah, but the Nothing Corporation could have like basically not been paying people on the auspices of like the world is like the universe is ending, so we're not paying you. And then it transitions into like the Nothing Corporation being like, I mean, we're not going to start paying these people. So like
So
kind of like that idea of the unpaid intern, where it just like everyone kind of like accepts that baseline of like war to peacetime of just being like, well, I mean, what can they do? Pay all of you? That's
right.
crazy. They can't do that.
And I think in general, right? Like we're talking wartime, and I'm assuming we're talking about 5 years ago was the robot human wars, right?
Well,
Well,
most people in universe just call it the Robo-Human Wars for
the
sure.
robo human wars, right? So in the robo human wars, you'd have to assume multiple different factions that never got along with each other all combined to take down this threat. Because if it truly is a robot human war, then I mean we're talking like fighting against AI who's trying to basically take all of our jobs and make us useless. So like people who have never come together now. I personally see each character in the show as an anti-hero in their own way because they think they're right, but they're also still a hero. It's just the way in which they go about it. And I think sometimes most people will, it's just in the way that they are right. Like the captain's right because he gets luck. Mr. Green's right because he thinks logic. Cheyenne's right because she has moral conviction in what she's doing. But at the end of the day, they're all wrong until something good happens and then that person's right. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And like, because I think what they all need to come to the conclusion of, and that's why I'm interested in talking about the captain at some point, of where he starts, is that like the system of the Nothing Corporation, like the Nothing Corporation must burn,
Yes.
basically. Like, because that is like the one power structure. It's kind of like the Empire, in a different piece of media that has nothing to do with our content whatsoever. But it's sort of like the Empire where you don't realize that they're bad necessarily if you're like living within it, or like, or kind of like that random episode of Tales of the Jedi with Count Dooku where like the Republic is bad or like oppressive in some way, like when you're on the ground of it. I think that there has to be the moment where they don't all start like actively opposing the corporation because they're like climbing within it or using it as a means to their own ends, or like that's how the Rangers are getting paid. Like everyone has like some use of them, but I think it's sort of like, oh, our complicity with this system is like their mutual internal like demon.
Yeah, I think you could put it in the sense that the Nothing Corporation after the Robo-Human Wars is now the biggest threat, and everybody's coming to that conclusion in their own way. And you have Cheyenne over here, who Cheyenne doesn't directly work for the Nothing Corporation. She's more like a contractor for them. And she realizes that she could take power while helping them, but also like undermining them. Whereas I see the captain is like a Ron Swanson. He's like, he realizes the best way to take down the Nothing Corporation is by making them inefficient as possible and just doing whatever he wants. And then I think Mr. Green's motivation is that he thinks that he can get power over the Nothing Corporation by rising through the ranks and doing it like the business way, right? Like, so everybody thinks that they can climb the ranks in their own way and make change, right? So they're all anti-heroes doing the right thing in different ways.
And I
What do
think
you-
if you like to talk about the captain and you said something there where it's like, I can't remember what you said, but Green's doing it through one way and she's doing it through like strategy or whatever. And like, and the captain does it through luck, right? And like the captain's argument is like, it's a rigged system, so it can't be luck, right?
And I agree. I think at the end, you find out that it's not luck. It's by doing the things that no one would think you would do, and those outcomes is what gets you ahead, right? It's like the reaction to the captain's action is so different.
Why
Yeah.
would of course this is the right answer because it's a good answer, it's a simple answer, it helps people, something like that. And if you were just trying to maximize your profits or whatever, you simply wouldn't bother to do it. Right?
Yeah.
So
Well, but
there
if we compare this to like the real world, I think that this obviously has parallels or just is the real world. But I think that like
this is the distant future.
oh right, true. Yeah, but I think like Cheyenne is the kind of person that's sort of like thinking that the way to political change is by becoming a congressperson and then like changing the system by being a congressperson from the inside. And Mr. Green is thinking like via the structure of the economy, like the corporation as an economy, whatever, is the like exactly as you said, the way you change the system is kind of like by a Bill Gates by a benevolent billionaire, maybe.
Yeah.
If-
like you
if
have to
that's,
work
like,
hard enough to get to the top to
yeah,
make.
because like you can enter the system and then climb the ranks, not like politically as Cheyenne is doing in that way. I mean, like they're both doing this, like they exist within the same corporation, but
Because
his
on
kind of
average,
diverges.
Cheyenne treats her interns better than other people do, right? Is what
Yeah,
she'd
exactly.
like
And she's
say
like,
to
"Oh, I can
herself.
show you all how to like treat them."
Yeah.
Like if I were the president, I would
On
have paid
average.
interns, but I'm not. But I can't have paid interns because like we don't use paid interns. But when I get to be the top HBIC, I'll pay the interns like a speckle a month or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that
Right,
makes
and
sense.
that- and
As
that's
a,
why
just as a
Captain has
captain,
issue
I
with
don't
your
have the power to change the system. But like if I was just like one level higher,
Exactly. Yeah,
I mean, I
she's
know
like,
that's what
"Oh,
I
but
said
when I
when I
make
was 2 levels lower, but
yeah, like when I'm an admiral, I'll do this. When I'm a general, I'll do this or whatever. Maybe admiral is higher than general, and also it's different branch of the military. I don't give a fuck. Anyway, but no, I think that like it seems to me very explicit right now in the ways in which Mr. Green and Cheyenne are flawed. And I think that my question in terms of like the captain is like with this motivation circling around, which I think you got at via Cheyenne's page, is also like where does the captain start out? And if the captain starts out just being correct, that might be the wrong place to find him. Do you know what I mean? Like, I
Yes.
think he could like be correct, but in the wrong way. There needs to be like twists and turns of a protagonist
understand.
where it's like, what does he learn? And it's like, oh, I learned that I was right from the start and everyone else is a fucking idiot. And like, I just am the only morally righteous being in the universe.
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
if
that's
you're
crazy.
the only one that knows that you're right,
It's an
you know what I'm saying?
internal
Like, how right
struggle.
are you?
Right? How, like if the only person that can prove to you you're right is you, like you could just be if you think you're 160 degrees, but you're actually 0 degrees, right? You know what I mean? Like, but I do think that if we just we don't have to take as long on the biography, but if we just finish through the Cheyenne page, like just by answering these questions, I think it will help. It will help some, as opposed to like it's such a tough question to like, and I know you'd say like, well, that's not a fair answer, but like it's the one I'm going to keep giving for right now, as long as this is the starting point. Is that like the show shows you why he's the protagonist, and Cheyenne and Green are there to like question him at every turn, right? So like this is the dynamic that we're looking for, and everyone's created right. And so like if you think that the captain's not as great as like you think like me and the camera are presenting him, Cheyenne has a voice there to say, hey, you're here and you suck, right? But
Yeah.
it just can't be from like she can't be like, hey captain, you suck like this. He's able to go, no, you love this part about corporation stuff, right? You do.
I just think if he starts off as a revolutionary, then like what's happening?
So can I?
You know what
He's
I
not.
mean?
I mean, we'll get to it, but he's 36 years old. He didn't
Yeah.
start out when the show
So
starts, right?
here's how maybe I'm going to make an altercation to the captain that I think makes more sense. The captain is self-aware enough to know that he is right, yet you're only as right as the perception of being right. So other people have to believe that you're right. And he believes that in order to get people behind him, showing that he's right through the correct actions and the correct outcomes, that he can make change. And that's why he's doing things that no one's ever done it that way before, right?
Yes, and part of it is that like, and the reason that people are questioning him, and the reason it takes a while, and I don't have it till like later episodes that like Cheyenne gets on board, is like the proof's in the pudding, right? It like the idea is like the captain doesn't expect anyone to believe him. That's why he's just going to do the mission. And so like it is Cheyenne just giving him crap like this isn't going to work and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like this is what it is.
Yes.
And you
But
also
then,
have to
but
remember,
then what
no,
happens
no, no,
at the
you also have to
conclusion
remember
with the captain? Or
The
like the
You don't
need to
climax,
think of
the
finale
universe
season.
doesn't care that he's the protagonist of my show.
Just in the same way that the universe doesn't care that Cheyenne has an orphanage. Do you know what I mean?
Like it doesn't like, but since we're trying to make an interesting show, that means as he does what is the right thing, we can't just have it go like, and then he does the right thing and the good thing happens. What makes it representative of the economy of nothing is he keeps doing the right thing and like the good thing continually doesn't happen. And his argument is going to be, no, we got to stay the course. As Mr. Green gets with him, and then Mr. Green's like, okay, I was with you up to this point, but now we're making less money than we were like 2 steps back. We should have stopped there. And the captain's like, no, that's it pushing back on us doing the right thing.
Yeah, because it becomes about like survival, having enough to live and all these things. It's like creature comforts. Like if you want real change, everybody's got to hurt.
Yeah, because Cheyenne has to have a bigger ship, so she has to have a bunch of interns, so she can't pay them. These are like, you know what I mean? Like
It's even
Cheyenne made a
crazy,
choice down the
because
line, right?
Cheyenne just explained her whole system for her unpaid interns and how it's like, well, if you do good for me, I'll give you a shekel later, which is the system we currently live in now. And we all know that doesn't work and especially doesn't benefit the interns. So you
And
kinda
Cheyenne
just
probably
proved
thinks
your
she's
own
learning
point
and read a lot
on
of
the
books and stuff.
Cheyenne has read a book. That's definitely true. I guess my thinking, I hear what y'all are saying. I guess like I just can't shake the feeling that the captain then like the story isn't about him. And I guess people who have seen the time skip know that the story isn't about him and it's actually about the Rangers. But or whatever. But like I think that like if the captain is kind of like a static figure of moral rectitude and like a clarity, then it feels to me like he's operating in like Obi-Wan role, or he's operating like in the older versions, like the original trilogy. He's correct. He's like guiding people, but he's not, in my view, the protagonist, because the protagonist has to be wrong and be forced to change. And like maybe I'm saying something like, oh, he has to be wrong in some like grand sense, because I think what you want for the captain, if I can keep going with Star Wars, is like at the end of episode 9, they just like bring in a bunch of people from across the galaxy that like hate the New Order or whatever they're called. Like Lando shows up and he's like, all of these rebels across the galaxy, we've all been fighting this whole time. I think that like that to me is like a parallel or like has symmetry with what the captain wants. Is like at the end of this conflict, like all of the good normal shit he did throughout, I'm finishing my sentence, but all the good normal stuff he did throughout his time like culminates into people siding with him against the Nothing Corporation because he did something for them. But like, what was his arc?
So
Am I dumb?
you're making
Yes.
good points, and I don't mean to poo-poo them, and I hope it doesn't sound like that. I think you have to
I'm gonna have to bleep
use a
that now.
different reference other than Star Wars. Like when you look at Star Wars as a story, it doesn't pick any Star Wars story. That it's like so bland and generic. Like this is the good guy, this is the bad guy. Like you talked about Obi-Wan, he's like very clear he's a good guy and he can do no wrong. But like we've seen that time and time again. It's very boring. I think the point of this is like, how do we show what a real good guy looks like in a world that doesn't know what good and bad is? You base it off the actions of the people and what they do. And I think in general, you're going like the captain could do 3 great missions and it could save a bunch of money. It could change a lot of people's lives. The point is no one's going to know about it. And then that's when the captain starts to realize that no amount of change that he does is really going to take effect unless he changes it all. So even if he is the hero of his own story, no one's going to know about it until the very end. And maybe even then they won't know about it because that's a true hero. More like a Captain America if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, of course, left for some reason and missed all of that because he's a jackass. But I think part of his problem is that he's like caught up in the word protagonist. I think he thinks it means something that it doesn't. The protagonist is just one of the lead characters in a work of fiction. That's it. A protagonist needs be nothing other than that. You have been misled by a YouTube essay. Like,
I'm
do you know what
definitely
I
being
mean?
misled. Okay, here's a different example that's not Star Wars that I was thinking of. Sorry, I had to be so bad. I know that was disrespectful on your birthday, my God. If we
Thank you for your
take,
service.
I think that we could take, there's 2 examples I'm thinking of. One is because I just started rewatching Daredevil season 3. No one spoiled me on season 4, the new Disney Plus Born Again one. But the example I actually want to use is Katniss Everdeen, the girl on fire in the Hunger Games, right? Because she enters into a revolution. The thing I find so compelling about this, because I've talked about this in other conversations, probably with you at least, Mike, don't, is that like Katniss is the protagonist of the story, but she's not actually the driving force of the revolution per se. She's like the figurehead of it. She's propaganda for a revolution that's already happening in District 13. District 13, I think there's the 13th district is like already in open rebellion against the Capitol. So my point is that Katniss is the protagonist because she has a character arc. But if they just use like the president of District 13, who already knows that the Capitol is evil and who's already like working against the Capitol at all times, actively to like undermine them and undercut them and to rebel, then like is following President Coin an interesting like the protagonist is the vehicle through which the characters experience the story. The audience. So if the protagonist is already right and like doesn't learn new things, then it's like what's happening in this story.
What happened is they made that's a boring thing, right? Like why? Like
it's not.
You know how you watch a movie and you go, hey, why'd we follow this guy the whole time? We should have followed that other guy, right? The fact of the matter is, you're going to want to watch the captain because I'm going to come up with cooler shit for the captain to do than you guys come up with your characters to do. But if you guys come up with cooler shit for your characters to do, when the scene happens, I bet I'll put the camera on them. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like when I first started thinking about this, the captain was the only one doing anything. Mr. Green was sitting in the car and Cheyenne was back at the dispatch. So it had to be about the captain. Why is this story about the only character you thought up, Mike? Because it is.
Yeah. And also to Ryan's point about Katniss Everdeen, Katniss is only the main character because she got volunteered as tribute. She would have never been the protagonist if she didn't get volunteered. And
She's the protagonist because the writer followed the story on her, right? Yeah,
it's the story driver. But if you want to go to the prequels and follow Snow is the protagonist of creating the Hunger Games later. So it really is from the viewpoint of whoever the character is. Just like Snow thought he was being the good guy at the time due to the actions that happened to him. Just like Katniss thinks she's the good guy because she started a rebellion on accident. Like, It always changes, man. Like, and if there's a freaking Hunger Games, sequel with a whole new thing, I guarantee you, Katniss Everdeen won't even be a part of it. Like, it's gonna be its own thing because it always is.
No,
It
I
always will
agree.
be.
And I think
Yeah.
that like that is a really good example because President Snow is interesting because he changes over time. Like his character arc, if you've seen the prequel to the Hunger Games, I'm assuming everyone has some familiarity. Like there's a group of children that are chosen by the capital like elites to like fight to the death every year. And before the 10th year, they all fight to the death and everyone dies because it's just like an execution. It's like a public execution that's streamed for entertainment. But then with Snow's year, he falls in love with a girl and tries to do everything he can to save her. So through that saving of her, he basically changes the Hunger Games to not just be a public execution, but to be a competition, which is very formative, right? The competition, which
What are
eventually
you talking about?
I'm talking about themes, characters, topics, arcs, like
You're
protagonists,
you're
antagonists.
describing the plot of one of the Hunger Games book.
I'm describing how
Would-
Snow starts from being like a nothing
I-
person, like overseeing an execution, to being the president of an organization.
There's a
that
difference between
saves
like
one person's
characters
life.
and plot and how they make a story, right? Like a plot and characters are like so like the protagonist is just the person or people you decide to focus on, right? They could have written the story about the exact same time frame about about Haymitch or something, right? It's something that things are accused of in like actual history of like, oh, well, it seems like you're just writing about what happened in Europe the whole time.
No.
right? Like,
So I do want to point out, maybe there's some defensiveness around this. I think the captain is a great protagonist. I'm
Do
not
you?
arguing he shouldn't be the protagonist.
You were though.
No.
that's what I'm saying.
No. I'm
Cheyenne
not arguing.
can't be
I'm
then
not
write it.
saying-
Like, I don't know.
I think the captain should be a protagonist. I am asking, what is his character arc? And you are saying it's nothing and/or don't worry about it.
All right, Ryan, let me ask you this.
That
I
is
can
my
tell
only
you his
point of
age,
contention.
his
What is
role,
your-
his personality, his
Ryan,
affiliations.
you're in the real life right now. What is your character arc?
Well, my actual character arc, I
No,
think,
in
was
your life. What do
You're-
you see your character in your life right now?
yeah, like I started off as a conservative Christian Catholic individual in a household, and then I had to become like through happenstance and just something that I wasn't expected to be growing up. And I'm now like a queer socialist, blah blah blah, right? So like I think that there's been like a journey I was on that says that you might be able to make a narrative out of about like the burden of expectation on you as you move forward, right? That's like, but like if I had to like describe it narratively as a character arc, my point is just like I think I'm kind of just arguing for the
If I had
captain
to
to
describe
have.
it as a character arc, I specifically wouldn't.
I think that I'm just trying to argue, I guess, that like the captain should have a coherent, thought out journey that changes himself and then causes the world to change. But I feel like when I'm arguing that, you guys are like, that's fucking stupid.
Because the name of
But
the
like,
show
isn't
is
that every
Hunger-
character arc? Isn't
But
that
the-
every protagonist? Like any satisfying good
No,
story?
Ryan, you're caught in word salad. If you want to know what happens, I have 22 episodes of things that happen. If you want to know what happened before, like, can we finish talking about Cheyenne stuff and then we can get to his biography from before the show? If you want to know what happens in frame 1 of episode 1, let's write the script. Like, you're like, explain to me like, I do not understand what you want other than for me to go, I don't know. He has a drinking problem. Can we move on? Like,
No, but
I
I-
don't
but I-
think-
He's an
we
Aries.
can
I don't-
move on from this and like because I don't think it's productive or what I'm saying is like helpful in some way. But I think like Mike Allen and I have both talked about Mr. Green and Cheyenne and like where they start and their like misconception around the world and their like worldview of, oh, I'm gonna enter the system as like a politician, then make change from within. Oh, guess what? That didn't fucking work. I'm going to make a lot of money and be like a beneficent billionaire. That didn't work. I'm wondering, like, that journey and like the little stubbles along the way and like how they grow as a person to me, we're assuming that's going to be character growth. That's what I'm asking about for the captain. And I just don't hear it. And I don't know why. We like not even like maybe we need to just think about it and figure it out. But I feel like you're like resistant to even having this like concept exist.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Can I go? Can I?
Yes,
All right.
please.
All right. All right. So, I hear what you're saying, Ryan, as far as your concerns, and I know you're hung up on the captain, and maybe this will. I'm going to speak for Mike B because me and Mike don't have had this conversation before. I think the overall, each protagonist of the main characters, like each episode, will have
They're
a
all the
thing.
protagonists of their
They're all
own
the protagonists.
story.
Yes, but I think it all comes together. The whole point of the show is that let's say that Cheyenne or the captain or Mr. Green, they all eventually take over the Nothing Corporation. Maybe they all do it together. Maybe they all do it separately at different times. But the point being is once they get there, they're not happy. The whole point of the show is that the economy of nothing tricks you into this state of it's never enough. But I think the point is after we do it time and time again and things don't change, it's like you start to realize that if you want to be happy and have enough, you just have to not care and you just have to do the right thing, whatever that is. And you just have to enjoy the time you have. And I think each character comes to that on their own terms. Like for me, I look at the captain since Mike Bedont lives at the beach. He's already there. He's already living the life he wants to live. So like, I think it's hard for him to be like, I don't know what you mean, because he's already there. Like he had already lived the life. Now he's just bored. Like the captain's whole motivation is that he's not relevant and people aren't singing his freaking name anymore. And he realizes that and he doesn't care how he gets it, to the point of where it's detrimental to Mr. Green's finances, to the point where it pisses Cheyenne's off because it doesn't make sense because we're doing it the correct way and he's not, right?
Yeah, so like for you in your, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that addresses exactly what I'm trying to talk about. Because for you, the captain is like an ego-driven kind of like maniac who is doing the right thing, but not just because it's the right thing. It's because he wants acclaim.
Yes, he wants fame. He needs people to notice him.
I don't think that's how Mike would have. That's not my understanding from
No,
Mike.
he said
You're
that a
muted,
couple
Mike.
times before.
Okay.
He's not bringing it up now because he's trying to act all pious and shit. But that was the original form for the captain. Yeah, it was.
No, like, but like what I'm saying is like this is the captain's problem right here. Is Cheyenne sitting there going like, well, explain to me what you're doing. He's like, I'm just doing the job. Look at the outcome. What are you talking about? Like, it's like me showing you all of these videos, all of these character bios, all this stuff. And you're like, well, say it in one sentence. Sorry, I can write more than one sentence. Do you know what I mean? Like, and she can't accept it. And like, so the captain's problem is, how does he not just get mad at everyone all the time? Constantly. And so when he's not getting mad, should he be getting mad? Are people getting away with stuff because the captain's not getting mad? Because when the captain doesn't get mad, stuff doesn't get done. But the captain doesn't want to do that anymore because the Rangers are with him. So he's trying to find a way to do what he thinks can be done, but also what needs to be done, right? So that's when him and the Mr. Green have arguments. It's a lot of times about like, oh, well, we could do this, like, this would be easier, but like we need to like set an example, or this will be more money, but we need it for the kids. And so it's that push and pull, and then their different relationships to the different sets of people they have to take care of.
I think what you're saying is that if all three of our characters are constantly trying to figure out the best way to do it for the kids, aka the Rangers, including Cheyenne's Ranger, that eventually in the long run, the Rangers, if they're supposed to take over, will adapt each parts of our personalities that might help them tackle the system and change things.
I had this thought, and it might not help anything, but I'm just looking at like the screens there. And I had this thought of like, there's like a triangle between the three characters, right? And it's like, and if you think of it as like input, system, and output, right? Like right now, Cheyenne is the system, Mr. Green is the output, and the captain's the input, right? because all Mr. Green cares about is the output, the money. All Cheyenne cares about is the system itself. And the captain's like, well, no. If we put bullshit in there, like you're gonna get less money for bullshit regardless of how well the system works, right? Or you're like, if the system works well but you're inputting stuff, it's no good, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then
you're
like,
talking garbage in, garbage out, is what you're
yeah,
saying.
but then there's like, but you could like rotate that and have them be like, okay, well then Mr. Green like gets all the money he wants, but then he realizes like, yeah, but guys, I have all this money, but if you won't let me put it into the system right, I can't get anything from it, right? And then Cheyenne shifted to another one of them where she's like, oh, the system was working perfectly, but now I guess it doesn't work perfectly now, so I'll just get all the money at the end. And she realized
Yeah,
that the other one's the
right. And I think Mr. Green at some point realizes that making all the money to then not have any money to put anywhere is pointless. So then he invests in like Cheyenne's orphanage.
Yeah, so then like
Hey.
season 2, right? He's like the system or something, right? And he's like, okay, well we didn't get the money, this isn't a great example, but there's like a relationship to how they feel about things
Yeah.
that's malleable to still who they are because like any one of those positions can just be the other one, right? Because the money is the structure and the money is the input and the money is the output, right?
Right.
Like
Can I say something that I think was funny about this? So, like in this scenario, I'm just going to expand upon it. So, let's say it's season 2 or 3, whatever. Mr. Green finally has made his money, but now we've taken down the system that allows him to invest the money. So he just has a bunch of money and has nowhere to put it. So then he's like, well, how do I make money? So then I invest
digging holes
into
for other people's
Cheyenne's
money.
expanding orphanages, and then there's a conversation later. The captain's like, well, now you got all this investment. It's like, I guess you can pay those interns. And Mr. Green's like, you're not paying those interns anything. They've not paid this far. They can be unpaid more because and it's coming out of my cunt.
As long he just has to be like super like it has to make him so mad all the time until he makes the money. He's like, well, I love the fact that she has for-profit orphanages, though I don't know how Ryan will feel about
Well, to
it.
be fair, Ryan just found out what a
That is
protagonist is.
such an
So he's like,
economy of nothing thing that I never thought of.
Ryan's like, I know what I
For-profit
read a definition of a protagonist.
For the record, you all are discovering what a protagonist is over the course of the next few
In
years.
the rules that someone
I
made
simply
up.
cannot.
Yeah, I
What-
mean, everything's made up.
but-
doesn't
but
mean
no.
it's right.
Mike Bedell, would you
gosh.
say then that like what Mike Allen said? I just want to nail this down. That like what Mike Allen said about the captain wanting to like inflate his own ego is going to be like a character arc / conflict that he goes through.
Yes, I think part of the reason that I will continually say I think we should go through Cheyenne's page is because I want to fill out the captain's page and I want you guys to hear the song "The Stars Ain't Coming." It is the captain's motivation in a song. So like when
Okay.
you're telling me this stuff, I'm like, Ryan, I've done this work. Can we please move on? You're on a
Alright.
term problem.
We're gonna
right? You
move
know what I
on.
mean?
We're gonna
We're
move on.
definitely going to move on. My only point will be that I think what Mike Allen said about Mr. Green getting everything he wants is really good because a thing that happens in many stories that you
Right.
give to protagonists because what it draws out of them is that you give them everything that they said they wanted, and then you find out if that's what they wanted or if it's not.
Yeah,
Like
it's
in musicals and in Disney's movies, right? There's like an
Okay,
I want song. There's characters that
spoilers.
want things, and then there's
Spoilers, Ryan. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. What the captain learned after having saved the universe the first time is it doesn't matter unless you do it with like other people, which is why he's trying to like build a coalition, right? If you do it yourself, then like only if your memory continues or something does like it work. And he doesn't want to do that. So he's like, I'll get a coalition of people together. The 3 seasons of them trying at different levels to get it done, it doesn't happen. And
Right.
the end is that the captain saves the universe but loses his best friend. Okay? And so then you have a time gap. And then at the start, again, spoilers, at the start of season 4, the Rangers are grown up, right? To go back to the Star Wars thing, you're like, they're Luke and Leia. A gender swap. I hope that's okay with that, everyone. And you're muted, Ryan, I think.
swap. They're made into men.
Wow.
But they
Ryan,
also have to kiss, right?
cancel culture's coming. Oh, so now they can't have a
Sibling
gay kiss.
kiss.
Ryan's canceling gay kisses, everyone. Ryan is canceling gay kisses.
I'm sick of it.
Or
The
he's
queers have
pro
had enough
incest.
time.
Either way, boo him on the internet.
Yeah.
Well, I like how you say I'm taking a male and female twin set and I'm gender swapping them to be men.
Male and female again.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
Yes.
what you just said made no fucking sense. And then
I love it.
this man, everyone, is trying to tell me look up the definition in the dictionary of protagonist. Okay, bitch.
Ryan, welcome
exactly,
to the
but my
Economy of
point-
Nothing podcast. I'm
My
your
point
host,
is
Mike Bedell.
when the captain loses, the captain then, in my view, should in the first arc of this be like, oh, I can do this with everyone. So like, it's not just me who's the savior of the universe.
I
but
could
it's actually
finish,
the
but
crew.
instead I've been attacked of not knowing a wording.
No,
Yeah,
but
I mean-
like my point is that I think that he should get what he wants, which is to be like savior of the universe again. But then he finds out that still didn't, like, even though that maybe persists longer now than it did the first time, because he wants to return to glory, he lost
Yeah.
his friend, and like what he wanted was like a feeling of solidarity that he had on his crew, and he wants that solidarity throughout the galaxy. That's like a powerful second act or
Yeah.
whatever. Like that's what I'm talking about. That's all I'm talking about.
I think the second act for Green is
He's
after
Darth
he does the
Vader.
orphanage thing and everything, right? I think I think since he will eventually, spoiler, he will eventually find out that he is like half robot, right? And when he
Or
figures
he'll
that out,
eventually find out he's half alien or whatever it is.
half
Who
alien,
knows?
half robot, and he realizes that it doesn't matter who is right or who is wrong or what system wins. The reality is there will always be a new system that takes over the old system, and most people will have to adapt and climb their way to the top. So might as well make the most of it now and just say fuck it whenever it resets. You know, it's like get your money, get out, don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about it, the other stuff.
But doesn't that turn him
Yeah.
into like a villain?
Yeah, but that's the whole
Yeah.
point, though, right? Like
Oh, okay,
every
okay.
protagonist lives long enough before to see themselves become the hero or the villain. Like nobody stays one or the other the entire time in their life.
Because if you do nothing, you become a villain.
Yeah, but so for the record, then the captain is going to be a former war vet who used to be the savior of the world, but no one gives a shit anymore.
Yep.
And his goal in the first 3 seasons is to take care of his nephews.
Yep.
And to reclaim his title of savior of the world, kind of.
Okay,
Like I don't think that he's thinking.
I get-
the
Oh, so
conclusion
one of the
season 3,
conflicts
he'll
in
be
the show
hero.
is like Mr. Green and Cheyenne being like, oh, Captain, your character flaw is your ego and wanting to be the savior of the universe
Yeah.
again. And he's like, I don't know what it is, but it can't be that because I already was that and it sucked.
Yeah.
Right?
And I
So what's his character flaw?
I know
As
what it
the
is.
writing room.
I know what it is. I know.
Okay,
Shy-
great.
get over him, Cheyenne. Jesus.
Literally,
I'm
literally,
obsessed.
but for the record, Mike Allen, for the record and for our listeners, Mike Bedell refuses to answer this question. It's
Yeah, I know,
crazy.
he doesn't want
And
to.
then I'm like, what is your flaw? What's your
I
one
think his flaw-
thematic
I think
flaw?
he-
And you're just telling me to fuck off. It's crazy.
So I think
because
the
it doesn't
ca-
exist.
I
What
think
is
the
it?
He
What is
captain-
it
cares
about?
too much.
No, the
yeah,
cap-
exactly. Mike
that's
Bedell
definitely not
be
it.
having this motherfucker as like some perfect, pristine. And I don't want us to move into the show with the captain just being perfect.
Okay,
It's
I got
crazy.
you. I got you. I got you. I got you. Figured it out. All right. If the captain only wants title of the savior of universe again, he thinks it's because he wants that, but it's not. It's a deeper level.
First of all, it's the savior of
he
everything.
just wants to get
It
laid
was
all the time, and that was the easiest way for him to get laid. Was when he didn't have to put in any effort in, and everyone knew that he saved the universe. But he's telling us, he's like, I just want to be the savior of the universe again because of ego. But it's like the reality, because he's always going around getting laid. That's the undertones that he's giving out, right? Is that he's like, wait, if he does get saved, it's usually by an alien chick that like.
That's what
it's
you
like,
heard.
right.
That's what you're hearing. But keep going.
But
this
I
is
just,
a good,
I
this is a
mean,
good
that's
point.
what I think. Like, if it's not for actual like
Yeah.
he needs
I
to
think-
raise his ego, then it's an other type of desire that he's not admitting to himself. And we know it's not money because he already has money. So it has to be, and we know it's not for fun because why would he be doing this for fun? The only thing we can definitely say is that he wants his Rangers, aka the nephews, to be in a better place, and he also doesn't want to be bored, and he likes to have a lot of sex. That's really his 3 motivations.
Yeah, I think that in my understanding of Mike Badon's interpretation of this or explanation, it's just that he wants to do the right thing because it's right. And I think that a character who becomes the savior of everything, that goes to a vacation planet that's all beaches somehow, and is hooking up with every woman and alien and robot and whatever the fuck he wants on this planet until his dog gets bored of him because he goes into a bar, everyone knows him, and there's a picture on the wall that says savior of everything. And then 5 years later, no, the pictures are down. The hot young things come into the bars, and he's like, I'm the savior of everything, baby. And they're like, who the fuck is that? We're not into you. Get away from us.
Okay, Grandpa.
That to me is like a really compelling motivation to return to, and like an obvious mistake that he will find in seasons 1 through 3.
Yeah.
And I think though that what you're saying, Mike Allen, when he goes to a planet, he like, and there's a triad of people who have different solutions to a problem. There's like the money version, there's the like what does the corporation want version, and then there's the do the right thing version. This do the right thing sounds a lot more to me like I want to get laid.
Yeah,
And I want to get
Yeah.
laid is like a compelling mistake that he will discover. Or
Right.
like through maybe
So-
his relationship with the nephews, he's like, they're like, I don't know, maybe one of them is asexual and is just like, what are you doing? Like, we had a chance to do the right thing, but you didn't do the right thing. And what for? And it's like, oh, because you like had sex with someone. Like, this is like, is this the point of your life? And he's like, oh, that's not the point of my life, actually. I remember what
and
being a hero
Yeah,
really
no,
was.
he w-
That
Yeah.
to
thinks
me
the-
seems like
what's
a
the-
character arc.
No,
Yeah.
the captain is a man who has already had his fucking character arc. And
Exactly.
he needs to
exactly.
find a
I
new
knew
one.
you thought this. I knew you
Well,
thought this.
that's
Mike.
why I think the character.
And
like,
the
I know
only
you said
one he can
character
think
arc,
of is
but I
saving
think-
the universe. What the hell else is he gonna do? Sit on a
But
beach?
then we should be making this show about the Robo-Human War, not this moment, because your protagonist has no chance.
No, because what you want to make is the continuing. What you're talking about is the show, the continuing adventures of Captain Raymond B. Tracy, a show that I just don't think is interesting enough. Which is why, like, all this other wacky shit's happening. Do you want me to pitch you the show, The Continuing Adventures of Captain Raymond B. Tracy?
No. I just want
Okay.
to. I just want to like just leave a pin in this because I think Mike Allen's interpretation of the captain to me is compelling as a character journey. I think that in
Art is
every
about
instance,
interpretation.
I think in every instance, if there's a triangle of characters and one is a greedy son of a bitch, one is an ambitious ambitious bitch, and one is just correct, that seems to me to be a less compelling
I think-
dynamic and story. Like
I think you
that's my
changed
only point.
correct
Like,
with
but you,
ego.
I think, want the captain to be perfect from the jump, and that feels to me to be wrong.
But like what I'm saying is that like this is your perception of the captain. I'm telling you that he's good, that he does things like we can go through the episodes where he does things wrong and things do not work out for him. So you can't say I've created a character where he does everything right and things always work out for him. It's just not true, Ryan.
I'm
Like,
not
I think-
saying I don't care about
Yeah.
every moment being right. I care about the motivation being like the narrative being like this was the right thing. That's
think-
my
I think
thinking.
it's
Like
like-
if Mike Allen has kids
Yeah.
and it's like, well, one of you is doing everything right. What is there to say? You've always made every good choice because it was the right thing, not because of your personal failings as a
Well,
human
Ryan,
being.
if we could finish the Codex pages, we could get to the
Okay,
bottom
yeah,
part
yeah.
where there's a
I've
bunch
done
of
it.
quotes.
I made my point. I
because
made my
I
point.
have, like-
yeah. Okay. Cheyenne's role in the universe.
Okay, first,
Cheyenne represents the logical extension of Dispatch's
wait,
meritocracy.
Mike, I think, Mike, you need to stop real quick. I think you're reading can you refresh your page?
Okay.
Unless I'm reading.
It was
The
looking
wrong-
right to me. Unless, did you want to go over key moments first?
Oh, sorry. What I wanted to say was, we just didn't do her summary first. We started on the biography, not the summary. So I thought maybe we were in the wrong order.
I'm just moving over key moments, but I can say
Okay,
yeah, I could say it.
Okay. I just think
Yeah.
like it's in that order because like some of the things are answered
Okay.
in the other. Yeah.
Okay,
that's
so
all.
key moments: oversaw the dragon egg heist on Dracaria, or whatever that is.
Also,
Launched
there's
the.
little areas you can click them. So,
Oh, I gotta click each one. Okay. So defied original. So dragon egg heist defied original job parameters to support rebel forces instead of royal ones. Possibly revealing deeper motivation. Launched the Intern Fleet Initiative. Use loopholes in dispatch funding to staff her fleet with unpaid interns from the Orphanage system.
That is fucked up.
Designed and deployed the Signal ER device, a tactical communication system that bypasses dispatch's centralized routing. Mr. Green calls it name a pun with functional teeth.
okay, Ryan, what do you think of that as a general idea of stuff that would happen to Cheyenne?
What does that mean? What, the name of pun with
Oh,
name
okay.
pun with functional teeth? Signaler,
So
signal
that part
ER?
that part
Does that
didn't
mean?
work.
Okay.
So imagine the word it does not work right, but you have to imagine the word signature. Then imagine it's Signa her, because it was like she needs a signature device, and I was like, oh, it's the Signa her device, right? And then I was like, oh, since Mr. Green is confused for Al Green because of the way L's looked and I's looked capitalized and not capitalized. I thought, oh, well, what if it was signal dash ER, and then it looked like so. And Mr. Green will figure it out in an episode because of how people misread the fonts of his name. Anyway,
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
could
I
be
think that
anything,
makes sense.
but
I think
I
like
just
the
had to
first
come up with
one.
3 things. So
Yeah, I think like the rebel forces. I think that that's interesting to reveal that she like has other things going on besides just being like an
I
evil
feel
bitch
like
of the
we could
system.
still do it because it would be against type. Because you'd think she would take the side of like the queen.
Right. Yeah,
'Cause
and I
she's the
think like
rule
those
lady.
moments are useful to like complexifying her. And then
Yeah.
the tactical communication system, I don't know about that, but it sounds fun. So, I mean,
Okay.
the show is a joke.
Yeah, the
so-
only thing is that I just needed a third one. So like, well, you should like this is stuff when you're thinking about your character and you're like, what should I do? Anything better than those 3 ideas gets it. Though the dragon egg heist is a thing in an episode that I
It
have
has to
written.
happen. The dragon egg heist has to happen because it's very pivotal to how the show grows and moves forward. It's
Yeah.
pretty turnkey as far as what happens.
Yeah. And I think the
I-
third one speaks to the same thing about like some kind of external relationship to the corporation.
I like the Intern Fleet Initiative, like because that's her using the loopholes to circumvent the Nothing Corporation
Yeah.
to do it on ramps. The only thing that I would add is that the Signal ER device, it either needs to change or be more expanded upon to where we understand it a little better.
Well, my thought too, right, is like these are clearly not the most key moments, right?
Right.
You know, like, and also, so this is the other thing that to think about. We'll keep going, but once Ryan says I like kind of this, then we'll go back through one more time and be like, all right, should they be key moments from the show or from her prehistory or something? Just so then I'll do one for the captain, and then I'll be able to answer.
But what I
everyone's
do
questions.
like about it, I will say, from the like signal device, whatever that becomes, say like something with her in it is hilarious. But like the I'm with her device. But I think that I like it because it kind of also lays the groundwork for something like you could imagine her just trying to seek a technical solution for her Matryoshka doll like fleet, where she's like, oh, we just need a way to communicate with each other. But it could also be like secretly underhandedly counter to the corporation, or like, you know, it's sort of when people go off with their communications, or you have like a radio that can't be hacked or whatever, you know, like that kind of shit that people will be talking about. I think that that's like an interesting, like she might not even have intended it to be like or to be a revolutionary tool, but it could be later on. Like maybe one of the kids hacks it, and then because there's like a tech kid, like maybe kid hacks into it and like uses it to transfer messages. So she has this like betrayal moment when the Nothing Company is like, who the fuck is doing this? And it's one of the
I think
Rangers, and she's
I
like,
think
I have no idea.
I think personally the Signal ER device is just you basically a babushka Russian nesting dolls. Each one of your intern is flying one of the smaller ones, and you're
Yeah.
flying a big one, and it's like this tele telekinesis telepathic system that connects you all, and you turn into like a Russian nesting doll, kind of like Megazord.
Oh,
Yes, exactly.
I was thinking almost like we were talking about Power Rangers the other week. Almost like he has that dagger and he blows on it and it summons a thing, but it summons the big doll. Yeah, so like my
He
thought there,
blows a dagger. This is a kid-friendly show.
he
You
plays a
guys, like,
flute.
Like an
I
ocarina.
didn't want to say he blows a flute. That's less kid friendly. The violence is fine.
He's a sword
The
swallower.
so my thought there with the Signal is I was like, oh, everyone should have like one gadget or something at least, just in like kids cartoon way of like the captain has like his gauntlet or whatever, and like Mike had talked about maybe Mr. Green having a laser whip or something. And I was like, so Ryan, a device. Here's a name I gave it. If you don't use it, I'll use that name later. I like claim the name if you don't want it.
totally. Yeah, this is all copyright you, no doubt.
Hey, it's now published on the internet. You're goddamn right it is.
Yeah. I mean, Mr. Green's was always a whip because I feel like, not even a laser, just an old school whip. Because I feel like it's more fun to think about a character in a space world that has like lasers and like all these crazy things, but because he's like really likes human culture, like movies and stuff like that, that he's like, oh, a whip's so cool and underutilized, and I think there's a lot of ways you could utilize it.
Well, he can get it
in
episode
fun ways.
1. He
Yeah.
can get it on the
Yep.
cowboy planet.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
I
he
think
can
there's
just
good
have
times.
it.
Yeah.
Maybe he uses it, and then the cowboy guy, the sheriff, is like, "God damn, you're good."
We did have an idea where he collects like a little tchotchke each
Yeah, there's-
place they go.
Yeah, he's all about the salvage, baby. So I think Mr. Green's stuff will constantly be added to or changed.
But that's really cute too. If Mr. Green has like a weird habit where all he wants is money, or that's like his stated goal, but then like there's just like a cupboard full, or you open the drawer by his feet, and the nephews are like, "What is all this shit?" And it's like, "Oh, just like tchotchkes." They're like, "Can we sell them?" He says, "No." Like, what do you mean? They're like meaningless, but they mean everything. That seems
We-
like
Well,
an
I think
interesting
he
little-
would
We can-
collect
we
things
can-
because they're cool and they're also worth something, right? Like they're
Well, we
rare.
can go. Well, I think we can move on for time or whatever. But last thing about Mr. Green is I like the idea like Mr. Green's like as sharp as he can be, right? And at some point he figures out that there's something more than money, but he has no idea what it is. So his first thought is stuff. Like
Yeah, yeah. That's why he like picks up the Tamagotchi. That's why he picks up the whip. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That works. All right, we'll move on to Cheyenne's role in the universe. Cheyenne represents the logical extension of Dispatch's meritocracy. She plays by the rules, but better. Her success challenges the captain's slower, more idealistic methods. Though they technically operate within the same structure, Cheyenne outranks him due to her combined leaderboard metrics. She rarely brags, but the shine of the sunshine speaks for itself.
I don't think that's true. I think she brags all the time. I think
I know. I think it is.
I think she
her
says she
hubris
doesn't brag.
is writing checks her ass.
legendary.
Like
No, yeah, I completely agree. I think she would like never brag, but she might have. It seems funny to me, but like her munitions officer that's always with her, he might just also be like a hype man at all times, and she's just like, cut it out. But like that's also his job.
like that kid that used to hang out with Chris Rock, Kid Rock. Like,
Well, yeah, exactly. Like in a rap battle, there's like someone behind it, like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
he can be a combination of
exactly.
of the Dwight Schrute type character and the other one that that Mike was in the munitions guy.
Yeah.
Like, let's hit up the top of the page because I do have like one more like big thing to ask about these pages before we get too off topic again.
Okay. Cheyenne's age says she's 16, which I don't think is true.
Yeah, that's crazy. What is this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so
it's
the
the
It's that she's
dispatch.
actually 24, but the dispatch calls her 16. That's crazy.
no,
That's
so
so-
that number's wrong. She's 34. So it is a long story short, but long story short, it's like when you're 18, you're 1. When you're 17, you're -1, and it's gonna
'Cause you
play
can
into a
work.
bunch of stuff. So anyway,
That's
Yeah, they only
interesting.
count your working years in the economy. Nothing. They don't count the
Right.
prior to your date.
so that's what I
Okay.
thought last night while I was writing this, and I must have typed in a 2 instead.
That is
I
really
like it.
smart.
Your role, Cheyenne's role, is gold tier captain and pilot of the Sunshine. Her personality: strategic, pragmatic, ambitious. Affiliations: Nothing Corporation, Dispatch 69, and the Sunshine Crew.
This is why I need help writing her. Everything will just be asteroid 69, planet 69, dispatch 69.
69 isn't a joke. That's actually just best rule that we have within the Nothing Corporation. The 69th rule is the most important one. That's
Yeah.
why it's 69. I think she
But-
takes shit really serious like that. She's
I
like
like-
not like, but then she's also
Okay.
per what Mike Allen said, like she can have a harem, but I feel like she's like not like it's always
Right.
professional.
Do you have it opened on your screen?
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Would you like to read her personal log quote board at the bottom?
And
And
she
that-
looks like an evil bitch too.
Yeah.
I don't know
But
if I
do it-
love all these. I would probably want to change some of it, but let's see what you got.
Okay,
And
let's
read
see
it
what I got.
voice-
Give us
No,
some
I'm
Yeah,
also
attitude.
picturing her being Southern, but I don't know if I have a Southern voice in me.
We have so much time to work voices down. I'm not too worried about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Interns don't count as casualties.
I like it.
They say I'm unapproachable. That's because I'm busy approaching them. From the rear. Up the butt. He needed 2 people to match me. I just needed 2 more interns.
Oh my God, why is
Okay.
that so weird sounding? Oh, I like it.
Why do I have the signaler? Because I'm tired of saying it twice.
So stupid.
That
I hate it for Cheyenne,
Mike
but I
is
love it for something.
for the audience. I mean, everyone already knows this in our audience, but Mike is a fucking moron. Okay. That man, he has a truck. I have a fleet
Of Russian nesting dolls.
of Russian Matryoshka nesting dolls. I think she'll call them like
Did you think
her
about
own.
Matryoshka? You
I
got
think
them
that
there
she'll just call them her
Matryoshka dolls?
own, though. I think because it's like so Russian or
Oh.
something, I think that she'll just call them like, Russian. She'll just call them Cheyenne nesting dolls. Or
Could
some
she
shit like
say I
that.
got some of them Ruski dolls?
I got some of those Ruski dolls.
I like it.
So
Some comp
that by the way, that's great, and that will be clipped. But
Great.
So here's my question, right? And I kind of asked it before, but now that we've done it like a little more like this, my question is like, in universe or in our world or whatever, like,
Yeah.
just who's writing these? And not as in us, right? But like,
You mean IRL?
I mean, if you're reading this website, is this what Cheyenne thinks of
Oh.
herself? Is this what the Nothing Corporation thinks of her? Or is this like our general or is this our
This is the
out of
penguin.
universe codex? Do you know what I mean? What, like, does that make
This
any
is the
sense?
old penguin is saying this. Right?
Penguin?
That's what I think. I think this
Yeah.
is I think this is the
The fan?
CEP, right? The Cozy Exposition Penguin.
Yeah.
What?
He's a penguin with a beard, and he talks as an old man, and he describes the characters.
And he works from
Um,
Dispatch. He's like a narrator.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
he's old. Like the captain has problems with him, and people try and tell the captain that's like, well, that's just because you're from like another time and you don't like really understand what it's like to have a boss that's like a cozy penguin or something. And I was like, no, I don't think that's what my problem is with this guy necessarily. It seems
I
like he
think-
just sits there and talks about
yeah.
stuff.
I think his whole purpose is to make you want to listen to the explanation, not judge it. So he reads it in a way that sounds the most appealing, regardless if it sounds like your character or not. Like the actions will speak it, right?
Well, but this is reminding me of what you said at some point last time, Mike Allen, of like what you might bring back from listening to one of the podcast episodes we did about the. I'm like going back in weeks as a reference to this, but it was when Mike and I were talking about the lyrics is I was curious about who's saying those lyrics. I was kind of thinking it's like a fan, like a just just like in our human world we'd have like a K-pop star, and then you have like people who just do fan edits of that K-pop star on YouTube. And I was thinking that like the lyrics of the show for the
Yeah.
theme song sounds to me like some kind of like fan snippet where they're like Mr. Green as sharp as he can be, always counting coins in the economy of nothing or whatever the hell the lyric is. And like that's probably not how Mr. Green would describe himself. But I'm like, well,
Right.
who is describing him? And like, does it need to have an in-character person or not? So
I think when it comes to the theme song, just in general, I think there's a lot of ways you could tackle it. I personally, if you want to constantly have a creative new outlet to that, I think Aqua Teen Hunger Force has a great example of what you're looking for. Like, I think after season 3 of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, each new series of, each new season of that show has the same theme song, but a different person singing in a different way. Maybe add a little bit more context or stuff like that. Maybe the rap changes. Maybe it becomes pop. Maybe it comes this. And if you want to have other characters in the universe be like we run across like a musical planet where we run into like a star that's somehow like been surviving for 5,000 years. Maybe it's like Dolly Parton somehow ends up singing the theme song. One thing, like it could be anything. Yeah. So I don't think too much about that because that can be whatever it wants.
Yeah,
to
I
be.
think the quotes can be whatever, and the voice
Yeah.
for it can be fine too. Like
Yeah.
if these are just like also the personal log quote board could just be like things that were said ostensibly during a mission, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
Also, they don't
and
have
that's
to be
why the
seen at all.
Penguins has them recorded. If you wanted the Codex to like have
So
some kind of
I think
structure.
of the Penguins. We'll bring it to the only reference. There's a part in the last podcast I listened to much where me and Mike Allen are finally coming to a consensus, and Ryan just comes in and goes, "I have a note from a piece of media," and I'm so dismissive and so mean. I'm just like, "Oh, great, here's Ryan with a piece of media." But here's
Just send me the
reference-
timestamp.
Here's me referencing a piece of media. Star Wars, you've heard of it, I think, Ryan. Okay, so
Barely.
in Star Wars, there's a big library with all the Jedi knowledge, and there's a
Yeah.
lady called Jocasta Nu, and she's an
I'm
old
familiar.
lady. Okay, so imagine if Jocasta Nu was a, a penguin in a Snuggie that like talked like Morgan Freeman.
Oh my
right?
god, a penguin in a penguin snuggie?
So like this is like the official record of the history told to you by the most cozy guy in the universe. I don't know if you want to take it that with a grain of salt, but
Yeah. He
just
also
want to-
sings
so this is
children
the official
nighttime
history
songs.
or whatever, right? And it has
Wait,
access to your
well,
personal
little
logs
slower.
because Facebook, right?
Yeah, I think like the biography makes sense to me. I think the role in the universe makes sense to me. The quote
Is there
board
anything
seems
specifically
good.
that you're like this, like as of right now, you're like this rings wildly untrue about Cheyenne, like that wording's wrong about her, right? Do you know what I mean?
No, I think the
This is
only
like
thing was like the device name is like a little not weird, but it's just like the joke is not obvious to me. So maybe just making that joke more obvious.
Okay, if you
per
write
what Mike Allen
if
already
you
said.
write
You're
a
gonna-
different thing, I'll update that web part of the
Yeah, I'll
website.
have to think of like a name for some kind of like scaffolded communication device between the dolls.
So
Honestly,
so-
it might just be called the dolls because what people call the dolls is like I'll listen to the dolls. It's like what the queer people will call the dolls, like trans women or dragged up women will be like the dolls. Like, oh well, what did the dolls think? Anyway, you
I
guys,
think-
you're being introduced to some queer culture right now, so
I think
and also
like,
to what a fucking protagonist is.
yeah, well no, the
Wow.
thing the only thing I would say about that is that like the thing that I brought in was like the device name. So, but you can take any or like the device can be a different thing. The third thing doesn't have to be about communication. The intern
Yeah, I
fleet
think that makes
initiative
sense. Like
can be
a kind
called
of like
a different thing. Like
a kind of like a non-corporate controlled communication system that enables a megazord of Matryoshka dolls seems correct to me. But then I think it can also like have narrative implications later, like I already said.
I love the idea that like she's a real stickler for the rules, but the way that she actually succeeds is with like this device and shift that like are not regulation. Like
Yeah,
It
Well,
rolls.
Well, but I think of her kind of as like malicious compliance. You know, the
Right.
term malicious compliance, where it's like, your boss is like, okay, well, make sure that every email has at least 100 words. Oh, it's gonna have 100 words, bitch. It's like you just like maliciously agree to whatever bureaucratic requirement is asked of you, and you don't like actually fight it. You're just like, oh, I'm gonna work within this structure and just like fuck you over.
She can be explained by the fact that she's like someone writing a pissed off email very formally, right? Like she's saying
Exactly.
everything she wants to say, and it's kind of rugged, rough around the edges, but it's still diplomatic.
Yeah,
And
she's like
also,
a Karen speaking to management, and the management is the Nothing Corporation, and she has her own objective, but also to like, she's a Karen and their management.
but she's an effective Karen. Because
She's like, I'm gonna call the manager, but like the manager is the Nothing Corporation, and so is she. So she's like negotiating with herself.
So, yeah, and I think personally, this is my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think you keep her that kind of like mean Southern bitchy Meryl Streep looking face, but all of her interns have to be smoking hot, and they all have to be female. And I think that you use them to get ahead. Like you will send your interns into the top of the Nothing Corporation to gain leverage because they'll end up banging them or something. You know?
Love that. And it also gives her a really interesting relationship to the captain, because she can be trying to like fuck him with via intern, and like never herself. Her and the captain don't have a sexual relationship. That's just the facts of the matter. But I do think that if she's like, exactly. If she's trying to like she just wants to get her own accomplishments done on the planet, she's like, okay, Brenda, just go hang out with the captain for a few hours and see if you can distract him. You'll get one more speckle.
You're basically like, you control, like your interns are like your Black Widows. You send them out, they come back. They're unpaid, but they like working for you because they feel a sense of power, and you're getting more power from it. So you don't feel like you're doing anything wrong because they're not mad about it. However, outside looking in, Mr. Green or Captain was like, this is total bullshit. It's fucking cold.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think she also has them like, I would say like it doesn't need to be part of her biography or whatever, but like maybe somewhere on this like summary biography page, like I think that she has former interns that have like entered the corporation, are like climbing up, or they have like their own careers, but never above her.
You have spies. You have spies in every part of the organization giving you to circumvent it.
Yep.
Right. Anyways,
sounds good to me, Mike.
No, I've very so if with this, all right, so I guess here's my question for you guys, right? All right, so I'll make one of these for the captain. One of them already exists for Mr. Green, but like obviously, Mike, you could think about this stuff for Green. My question is like, okay, if you guys are just gonna ask Ryan, if you have like a real like protagonisty question, right? Ask it right now. I'll give you the best answer I can, and then at the start of next week, I'll give you the best answer I can after having thought about it for a week.
A protagonistic question for the captain?
Like, ask whatever. There's something you're like, why won't I just answer this simple question? Ask me the simplest question you can.
The simplest question I have for the captain,
the most complicated, whatever makes it easier for you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm trying to make you happy.
Yeah. It is like, what misconception does the captain have as a conviction going into episode 1 that is completely proven wrong by the end of season 3? Like, what does he think? Like, what does he believe so deeply that is wrong by the end of the season, of the third season?
So when we talk about,
you have a week, Mike. No need to rush to an answer.
Oh, but I have an answer, right? The thing he learns is that like doing it isn't enough. You have to keep trying.
That's fair. I'll give you a week to refine that.
Wow. Okay.
I think it kind of makes sense to me, but I just don't know. Like how that.
Well, because all right, so he does it, and it wasn't enough, And so then he does it, and this time he's going to build a coalition. He's trying to get Cheyenne on board. He thinks he has Green on board for the most part.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
other dispatch people they need to get on board. And then they're going to take down they're going to do it. And then eventually, at the end, okay, they've taken down the dark orbit that's running everything, right? And he's like, okay, great. Now I can retire, right? And then start of season 4, the Rangers are like, Captain, we need you again. He's like, what do you fucking mean you need me again? I already did this, and I did it this time with all of you, and I left all of you there. What do you mean I got to do it again?
Mike, this is such a great answer from you because I have a counterpoint / idea that just popped in my head because I'm going to tell you wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's
no.
Mike Allen's birthday, so he can't, he's got to get out of this weird podcast room we're in.
No, I just want to think, imagine if, per what you're saying, a really interesting character flaw to me in this moment, in this character arc and story, would be if the captain treats all of these people like exactly what you just said, oh, I need to make change, I need to do the right thing, I need to build a coalition of people doing the right thing. If Mr. Green and Cheyenne and the nephews are all in a strange way, everyone he ever fucks is a means to an end. And the end is the end of the corporation or maybe a subsidiary because we kind of want them to maybe stay around. I don't know. But what if that's why Mr. Green leaves? That's why Cheyenne leaves. That's why the nephews leave or have beef with him is he was I was always doing the right thing. I just had to trick you all into doing it with me. And all of these people kind of feel like he didn't actually care about them. He cared about the end of ending the corporation. That to me seems really interesting. And it allows him to do the right thing. He could be a perv. He can be whatever he wants. But the personal connections that he lost. And it also speaks to Mississippi, leaving him as well. Because he was oh, you were mean to an end. Not that he's not trying to do this. But he
there's no such
he
thing
wants
as
to do the right
thing. It doesn't exist. Who's who decided by who and what and when?
I personally
So the captain's deciding here and now what the right thing to do is. And then Cheyenne can get on board or not. Does she have a better idea? Because if it's just what the manual says, he already read the manual and he's ready to go.
A better idea is what you just said. Maybe not season 3. Maybe the end of season 1. The end of season 2. Doesn't matter when. Point is, yeah, sure. The first time we have to come back to get you back because we need you back, right? Whatever reasons we need you back, right? And that's what keeps the show going on. But I think whenever that happens, the next time that it happens, it has to be because of Green leaves. Maybe when Green becomes that cult leader, you have the guys I was I'm gonna stay for a while. They're you're we need you back. And then maybe Cheyenne leaves and goes off and does her thing, and we need you back. And it's one of those things where it's episodes within the same universe are happening at the same time, but they're not connected until they are again. I'm not saying that has to be multiple episodes thing, but there certainly could be an episode where Cheyenne is literally doing a mission on another planet where we're not even at. And
it should be a whole season. Literally. Yeah. That's such a good idea.
Yeah. I just think that I think every main character is going to have their moment where they are needed to come back or they choose to come back for whatever reason. Because it's once you've completed everything, what is there really left to do? You're going to get bored or you're going to somebody's going to need you for another problem. I think it's one of the two things for every character arc.
Yeah, I think the flaw of the character arc is just the idea that oh well you know what I mean? I can tell you where he is at the end of season 3. I can tell you where he is at the end of season 6 or something like that. But it's oh well, the fun is well, how does someone go from here to there, right? And
that's the fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
going from here to there is the fun, and if here is there, then there's no fun because here and there are just here, or they're just there, but there's no journey.
Well, there is a journey. They're going to journey to Brenner 7. They're going to journey to
right.
They're going to Milanburg. They're going to journey to Planet Prime. They're going to journey to a bunch of places,
I'm just really glad to have this.
I think as each season expands, I think you do that classic, like we treat it as like a DLC expansion, like on a map of a, where it's like
Well,
the yeah, the
that's
map
why
of
the
the like
second half.
right, but like the galaxy is like, okay, here's the Nothing Corporation planet, and then here's like these other systems that are in it, and then there's like this weird thing in the right corner that's like a black hole that is undiscovered until like season 2 where we go in it, and then like it builds even more. Now there's more of the universe, and we figured out where there's new things that expand the story in different ways.
Well, if you go to economyofnothing.com/the lab, you can see where I'm slowly working on trying to build an interactive kind of like map game thing going on. But like,
That's
yeah, that's the
why
idea. I would love. I want to keep track of where planets are, and I know we've gone so far afield. We haven't even talked about a million things. Uh, but yeah, I would love to keep track of like where all the planets are, and I think that we actually kind of talked about it a little bit ago. We need to discuss like travel times, right? When like we were talking last week about like Ryan was saying like, well, where do they sleep? And I was like, I hadn't thought these had been those kind of. I thought this was like a 9 to 5. You know what I mean?
I thought it was a 9 to 5, but I don't know about travel time. I was just assuming that there's like floating way station. Like when I was thinking, oh, where do they poop or do they sleep? I was thinking of those like a diner scene or something that we have talked about or you showed me
Yeah.
before, where like they just go like, but upon way stations that are kind of everywhere, like a gas station would be. It's like you can only go so far without like finding one.
I think everything's a Waffle House.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just a Waffle House. I would say a Waffle House with something else next to it. Like everything, like if you want to have something next to it for like variety's sake, you could have like one's a library, one's a bookstore, or one's a place that makes books. I only have book ideas apparently, but you know, like there could be whatever.
I just think the idea of an ever expanding universe of different things, that the one consistent thing from our universe till now to all the way
is the guy that's frustrated.
Is just Waffle Houses everywhere.
Okay, it should be
Because we
Waffle
all
House,
like
but they need a bed. I think the Waffle House needs to have like a bed next to it or something.
Yeah, like
well.
it's don't think of your standard waffle. Don't get me wrong.
It's like those big
trucks,
truck stops on I-95 that have like like showers and stuff in them, but it's floating in space. It's like there's an episode of Robot Chicken from like a million years ago where it's like Luke Skywalker filling up his X-Wing at like a gas station floating in space, and like the Wampa drives by and it's like giving him the side eye, like, oh no, that's that guy or whatever.
Yeah.
But like that's like what I see.
I think it'd be cool if like giant, like really pristine hotels are just really big, pristine Waffle Houses. Like everything is
completely.
And the reason why I think Waffle House is because Waffle House is still to this day the most like for your buck as far as like value.
And honestly,
an economy where there's like everybody's trying to make money and not spend it, Waffle House takes over.
Mike, I hate to give you such a specific note too. Like, obviously, I have like various ideas that I kind of just bandied about, but I really think that you should have the waffle. I think this Waffle House idea is genius. I think the visuals of it seem to me so clear that you need to use the White House logo, the United States of America White House logo, but instead of White House, it's Waffle House, but like the same logo. Not from like, don't use the Waffle House logo. Use like combine the Waffle House and White House logo as this one-stop shop across the universe. That is so fucked.
Yeah,
the Intergalactic House of Waffles.
Yeah, or pancake stop. Like literally, just make any breakfast reference and make that the thing.
I think that's pretty powerful.
It's nothing, but it's also everything.
You know what? There's
exactly
in the episode Die Hard on a Space Elevator, the captain and Cheyenne meet in a diner. So I think obviously this diner, at least this diner, is the International Waffle House or whatever we said. the Intergalactic Waffle House.
Well, yeah, because you can't say Waffle House. Because
but you can't say International House of Pancakes, and this is neither of them. It's the Intergalactic House of Waffles.
I like it.
It's genius.
All right. Well,
and I think it'd be funny to like, after like so many episodes go by, I think one character has a breakdown about like eggs or something. Like eggs. I've had eggs every day for the past 10 years.
The nephews for sure. That's such ripe territory for them.
Yeah. I mean, but like everybody, I think it'd be funny if this whole universe was just like people were just eating eggs and what are those stringy
You think we're
potatoes?
gonna have money for
hash
eggs
browns?
in the distant future? Come on, man.
Well, they're synthetic. It's so easy
They're
to
cloned
do.
eggs, Mike. They can do whatever they want.
But also, what if the Nothing Corporation gets taken down, but like the real power in the universe is the Intercontinental House of Waffles?
Yeah, and the whole reason why is because like people love syrup and pancakes, and that's what keeps them content.
Well, like obviously, there's a lot of ways to go where it's like if you want to be lazy, right? It's like, oh well, the Nothing Corporation, they're just a subsidiary. There's only actually 20 companies, and then season 2 is like, oh man, there's only actually 10 companies. Oh man, there's only but
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot.
but like we do have to do a takedown of the fact that like Pepsi and Coke are the only 2 companies or whatever, right? Like
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do like the idea though of like the Nothing Corporation or whatever being a subsidiary or having a subsidiary. That's possible. But then also like if there is a black hole, maybe it's like an area that's super scary that no one's allowed to go through, but it's just a farce. And it's like a projected black hole that's not real because it's just like a portal to the House of Waffles instead of the House of Pancakes. I don't.
But I feel like the economy of nothing answer is that's all a beneficial side effect of the fact that it was just easier not to close it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and it worked out for all of them, so definitely they're not going to close it now, right? Like,
As long as there's a resurrect maple syrup somewhere to reference and something like, but real maple syrup.
Yeah. None of
That's
this
so
Canadian
easy.
bullshit.
Can't you just make like Saturn but with maple syrup rings?
We can do whatever you want, and I allow, Ryan.
And I allow. Look at how
What
easily.
if it finds out that like real maple syrup comes from like Saturn and it's like the blood of the Saturn people, and then the universe has been feasting on the blood of Saturn people, but it's
Again, we must remember that as established,
it's a kid's show.
There's no returning to our home solar system.
Yeah,
because
galaxy,
there's a
whatever,
jam.
whatever.
Okay,
Well,
so
I mean, who cares?
Saturn.
It's called
Yeah.
You know what
Saturn
it is?
too.
Yeah,
Because they
okay.
just rename everything.
Yeah, the
after
description
our
is the description of the planet is like it's like Saturn from our universe, but it's a different Saturn.
Can it be called Saturn 20, but it only has like 10 rings, and it's like, well, yeah, they just started adding other features after they put the 10th ring on.
Yeah, except the rings go in all different directions. Like instead of just one direction, it's like at like 2 or 3.
You know,
Okay.
there's a Lady Gaga song called Venus. Have you ever heard of it?
I'm
No.
your Venus. I'm
No.
your fine.
Okay, no. It's Venus, but she says the names of all the planets, but they're in the wrong order. I wonder if there's some piece of media. It doesn't need to be the song Venus by Lady Gaga.
Oh
but
god,
if,
here
like,
Ryan goes with a piece of media.
I wonder if they name, like, I just wonder if they rename a galaxy after our own galaxy, but like the order is wrong of the planets because of like a mistake. Like they heard the Lady Gaga song Venus and they just listed them off in her order because she's like Uranus, Venus, Saturn, Jupiter, Earth, Mars. Like, but it's like wrong because
Yeah.
she's just rhyming it together.
Well, it's
That's
wrong.
wrong,
I mean,
though.
she didn't have Pluto in there. I know.
She didn't.
Yeah.
And any Pluto deniers are.
I love the
dead to me.
idea of a solar system where it's just like, this won't be I mean, I guess it could be, but like, there's Brenner 1, Brenner 2, Brenner 3, Brenner 4, Brenner 5, but like they're not in order. So like
Exactly.
closest to the sun, it's Brenner 3, then it's Brenner 6, then it's Brenner 7. So it's like, oh my God, I hate these new solar systems. They're always putting the planets in just whatever fucking order. It doesn't
But it
make
makes
any
so
sense.
much sense.
Can you imagine being the mailman in this solar system?
No, because like the Brenners were a family of like Brenner Jr., Brenner the Third, Brenner the Fourth, Brenner the Fifth, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But like this one family,
it's numbered wrong.
yeah, they were like, oh, well, we claimed this planet after the name of like our great great grandfather, and that's Brenner 5, and the next planet in the line, like, oh, this is just our father, Brenner 2, or like whatever. It's like,
Yeah, but I think if you're gonna
Sequence
go that
wrong.
route, you have to call things based off products that made money. I mean, yeah, you can do the Brenner, but like, you can have like Clorox 1.
Well, like what it
You
should
know,
probably be
Genius.
is all the names should have. If we go that direction, everything should be named worse, right? It should be
Yeah.
called Brenner 2467 AB. Like, do you know, like they
Yeah.
just ran out of names for planets, so the planet just called GX247 or whatever.
But how many planets are there? You know what I mean?
As many as we want.
As many as you want and all the
Well, there can be but like that's what I mean. As many as we want is great, but then like if we like I can't think of over 100 planets.
I
So do
can't.
we need to have Brenner 6492875? It's like
It doesn't matter.
maybe.
The point
Yeah,
is,
that's a joke.
each mission is on a different planet. So then
Yeah,
we can
totally,
name
totally.
the planet based off the
Yeah.
mission.
And then in the second half of the season, we go back to those planets. And then like, because just like even like on Brenner 7, I'm like, oh, there's so much interesting stuff going on here with like what the world is. So the idea is like episode 1, the first episode when they go to the
No.
planet, that's the Captain Tracy is most of the story. And then they go back and it's like, oh, Captain Tracy is in a story that's happening, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna ring the alarm. We have 6 minutes before we're
Well, this
done.
is, I've been,
My
if it makes you feel any
God.
better, I've been attempting to ring the alarm for a while. I've been watching the runtime, but hey, everybody, you're getting so much bang for your no buck. You know what I mean? This is the economy of something over here, fellas.
Yeah, this is like cutting edge creativity at your fingertips,
If you
So-
don't join the Patreon, we're gonna come break your kneecaps.
or not.
No,
Seems like a lot of
No.
work.
That sounds
Yeah,
like a lot
honestly.
of work for Mike Allen's birthday. Let's
Yeah.
leave that for a different time.
oh, I thought finally we were gonna put some. I thought we were saying that sounds like a lot of work for Mike Allen. I'm like, good. He needs to start doing something around. Mike Allen, you're the. Oh, Mike, when
I
we
don't-
said business, we meant business. Like
So- I read the descriptions on the Economy of Nothing Codex, so
No, most thought you couldn't. And I know
that's a lot.
everyone's been
coming-
so
you know,
Mike. If it
Let
makes you
this
feel-
hate crime be the end of the pod.
All right, everyone, this is the end of the podcast. Thanks so much for listening to you. I'm going to make it up to Mike Allen by putting a little birthday cake and a hat on him on the video for this on
Well,
youtube.com/the economy of nothing. What's that?
all I want is my face, my mouth to move like yours.
Well, Mike,
But honestly, you have the best eyes, Mike Allen. I feel
Oh,
like
thank you.
our eyes
Thank
I
look
honestly thought
crazy.
this is, I cannot believe we talked for 2 hours and I didn't get to talk anything about what I did for that. It's insane. See you next week, everyone. I've been Mike Vidot. That's been Mike Allen. That's been Ryan McDonald's. Economyofnothing.com. Have as good of a day as you can have, everybody.